Welcome to another episode of the Lightspeed Investing Podcast. I'm so glad to have Lauren Z back here again for our third and final episode, conclude our trilogy. Today, Lauren, we will be going into a deep dive of your Black Diamond process. Now, obviously, we don't have, 3 months or 6 months here for the time being, right? So what would you say are the three most critical points that you want to get across to the audience today in terms of how you help visionaries, get more time back and get their productivity up and identify, maybe some of the inner energetics work that is, manifesting in the real world in negative way.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. So happy to be here again. We were just talking about the work being like Hogwarts in a way. And so when I'm talking about magic, when I'm talking about hyperspeeding goals and literally creating time and kind of creating what you actually desire and in terms of hitting those goals, whether they're financial, whether they are specifically in your business or even personally, my work is really in hyperspeed, in accelerating you towards those goals. And so for me, it's time collapse has three very specific elements, and this is part of my Black Diamond process. But I'd love to share what those elements are, how powerful they are, and share actually a few stories that I think are going to be kind of mind-blowing because it melds the logical with the energetic and the kind of illogical. And I think that's just a really this is where I love to play, and this is what I love to share. So I put these core elements into my Black Diamond process because they're not necessarily let's take more action. They're an unraveling of what is underneath, what is the energy behind your action. That is so important. And I think pretty much everyone in the audience is going to want to have more time, feel like they're in command, like actually full command of their results, of their reality, of hitting that income goal, of busting through any energetic or financial plateaus. So the elements of time collapse that I love to talk about, for me, the top three are number one, it's technically a level of self-trust. So I call it intuitive genius. This is not necessarily being smart. This is, I use the ancient version of this, which genius is, translates as attendant spirit at one's birth. So this just means something that you are born with, part of your destiny, part of how you operate. It's like your unique essence that you live and breathe out into the world, and your intuition, and that's going to lead you some really cool places. And I'll go deeper into that. Second element would be the energetic precision that I look at, the illumination of what that specific block is for you. Like, where are you leaking energy? Where are you wasting your time and effort? Where are you trying to play someone else's game? Where are you keeping yourself capped? And everyone has their own, like boulders in a stream, right? We're kind of getting there. The water kind of goes around them. But what are those giant boulders that if we actually remove them, then we all of a sudden see this flood of results, opportunities fall in, collaborations come in, projects go through seamlessly, the investments go through, right? So that's number two. And the third is a really big one. How do we achieve those results and then obviously create more, and amplify them and also keep them? So you're not just making the money, you are then being able to hold it, right? Because a lot of people will go through in business, like they'll make a lot of money and then they'll lose it all, or something will happen, or like a wrench will be put in the works of the project. So the next is the identity shift to kind of hold those things. So yeah, if I may, just go into the first one right away, or do you have any questions around?
No, I always think, parable stories and examples really help, so if you want to maybe do a little bit of, um, explanation, and then maybe if you have like an example that you want
Yeah, absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
solidify
I think,
with, yeah.
yeah, I'll use also some of my own journey because some of them are obviously the best examples of just of embodying them and applying them in my own life. So I know as high performers, right, the desire to be efficient, to create your own destiny, to be sovereign, fully in command of your reality, whether that's revenue, self-mastery, opportunities, right? Um, so this kind of hyperspeed doesn't always look like how we think it's going to look. And so when we're talking about this number one thing is your intuitive genius. It's not always linear and logical. And I know a lot of people who are very logical, and believe it or not, I'm actually extremely analytical and extremely logical. This is a hard concept sometimes to really do, because it's a bit of letting go, and it's activating this like next level of self-trust. But it's about bringing efficiency that doesn't necessarily require more work. So I've had clients come in thinking, okay, we talked briefly in the past of, okay, I'm trying to hit this income goal, but it's not working. I'm showing up. I'm doing all the things right. I hear this all the time. I'm doing all the things, right. And they're just kind of throwing more strategy, throwing more, posting more on social media if that's where they're bringing their audience. They're, trying to get on more phone calls, and they're trying to up the actions, right? But the actions aren't actually what is creating the most powerful and potent result. And so for me in my life, it was, okay, I've been feeling this. My intuition was saying, go here, go here, go here a whole lot. Stop working with this one kind of client and shift to a different kind of client, and resisted that for a little while until I finally said, okay, fine. This is illogical. It required me to burn down a business. It required me to move really quickly in another direction. And the moment, though, that I chose to follow that was the moment that I went from, you know, trying to convince people that my $77 master classes they should, join me in, to then being paid five figures. Like, this is the kind of leap, this is kind of hyperspeed that I'm talking about. I've had a client that, unlocked a few things around just really where intuitively they wanted to go. It sounded really crazy. And people who come into my world get very full permission to just go for the thing. And we worked through that, and they collapsed time in the sense that it would take other people in general like years to build, and they built their business in about 3 months. Or I've had clients find like project after project stalling, and then to address like where their intuition was actually telling them to go. And that's the scary thing, right? That's where the quantum leap, that's where the self-trust really comes in. But something seemingly so simple, just watch them flip into it, watch them take the move that seemed like a left turn, and then everything kind of shifted for them. Or I've had clients hiring everyone under the sun. They believed they were business problems, and then discovering that, looking at one or two elements of like, oh, wait a second, I actually don't want to deliver this much in my business suite, my offer suite. Actually, I hate calls. I never want to get on a call again. And watching them make those decisions intuitively, like, I actually really want to do this. I want to just deliver through Telegram. I just want to, just do messenger back and forth. And that's what they wanted to do. That's where their intuition was leading them. The moment they decided to do that, of course, the clients who come in were like, this is perfect. I love this too. So
Where do you think, like, why is it that, before they hopped into your ecosystem or into that safe space, they couldn't identify and be aware and achieve those things, but then as soon as they hopped into, a session or a intimate conversation with you, that was now possible? What do you think that number one, like, barrier or obstacle is to that?
That's such a good thing. I think it's multi-layered. A lot of the times we just don't see, right? That's what we hire other people. We just don't actually see it. But what I get most is a lot of people will come to me after working with other people, because those other people wouldn't, so I'm pretty bold. Like, I will tell you the thing. I will tell you the thing straightforward, lovingly, non-judgmentally, but it's like, here's the thing. And a lot of people are not drilling down to what the actual root is, because
The
there's some
truth,
kind of
so to
fear.
speak.
The
Yeah, the
absolute
truth.
truth. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is that I've learned through my own personal journey is just like, my ego has to just completely be out of it. I have to be able to just ask you the question, whether or not that's uncomfortable for you, whether that's uncomfortable for me, in order to get to the actual root. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things. And a lot of people are just activated by my presence because there's a level of extreme permission. I've had, like 7-figure business owners come into my space and have their previous mentors tell them their vision was too la la land and that
Mm,
it'll never work.
right,
And
right.
for me, I'm like, what? Okay, I'm like, no, let's go do that. And then, of course, what do? They go do it. So
Mhm.
it's a level of permission too, as
Yeah,
well.
well, permission, I would say, an um, non-judgmental support, so to speak,
Yeah.
non-judgmental, biases and support. So yeah, I mean, that's where you feel fully empowered, to I would say go after the thing that you're meant to go after. Sometimes
Yeah.
those mental blocks, they can really weigh you down for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
especially I think a lot of high achievers and those in a position of leadership being vulnerable in those spaces,
yeah,
being like, oh, I actually really secretly don't feel good about this, but I
yeah,
can't, if I show a weakness, it's like they're gonna smell blood.
right,
I can't, right? And so having
gotcha.
that space, like the moment you unshame something, the moment that's
Well,
when
I mean, it's just about being able to connect with, people who resonate with your vision, and do it in a way that, makes you feel like you can be authentic. I think that's another
yeah,
description, right?
absolutely.
Well, because obviously we didn't meet 7 years ago, but like I went through a very similar thing. Now I was blessed to have the right, I would say, support system, connections, resources, and people around me, and I also had the ability to seek out and connect, and have specific conversations with those that I knew would probably be, the most beneficial to me in that situation versus opting to talk to other people who probably be discouraging and
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah.
and
Your round table is everything. Yeah,
a waste of
yeah.
time. So but
Beautiful.
I
Yep.
do resonate with what you're sharing. I did go through some of that. I mean, that's why I went from personally speaking an aspiring surgeon to president and CEO now, but that was also a journey in it,
Right.
not just like what you see, but like the inner journey, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, it was like a huge sunken cost, quote unquote. Like all this time I was prepping to go to med school and be a surgeon. But really, deep down, I guess I wanted to
That's right.
be
That
and
was
be a
your
team
left
owner
turn.
instead. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and who
And what if
knew,
you
right?
weren't, right? What if you
Yeah,
weren't that bold? What if you didn't follow that? You could have called it your intuitive nudge or just, your true desire, right? What if you didn't? How many people would be missing out, right?
right.
Like this is what I'm so here to do is
I know.
what if, right? And so can I share a story with you, which I think I really want to bring into this
Yes, and
because
before you do that, I just want to
yeah.
say, like, this is when I think you're really living in fulfillment.
Mm.
I wake up every day and I'm like, I have a lot more to do, right? But at the same time, if anything was to happen, because like right now it's an Arctic phenomenon in Kansas. It's like negative 16 degrees. Like it's
Oh
gonna
my
be like
God.
that this entire week.
And I'm complaining
We have
about
like
storms.
over 12 inches of snow. It's
Yeah.
really dangerous. But on the flip side, I'm grateful because there's like this crazy wildfire going on in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, acres being burned down. The whole point is though, I wake up and I'm like, I know there's a lot more to do, but like if for whatever reason my time is up, I'd be totally happy
Yeah.
because I'm content and I realize like I'm doing the thing that I said I was gonna do, which on a grand scheme of things is to not live with regrets, right? And so every
Beautiful.
day I wake up fulfilled, for that reason, despite knowing like how much more I have to do. But it's like so I just want to like share with you that that's a good litmus test, right?
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. I love that. That's the whole point. Because like then why are we here? Right. And so this part of like following your genius, following that intuitive genius is really about fulfilling that part of your destiny. And it doesn't always mean like destiny needs to have this like crazy big impact. A lot of people I work with, yes. A lot of people I work with don't. Like it really is that inner game
Hmm.
is like
Yeah.
pure satisfaction in following it. And like what if we didn't do that, right? How much is being missed in that? And like bringing it back to this kind of merging with like logic and logic
Energetics.
and energetics.
Yeah.
I have an engineer friend, like
Mhm.
how powerful this is, right? If he were just like, no, I'm just an engineer, I'm just one facet, I'm always going to look at it in this one way. Yeah, he wouldn't have the results that he has. So a good friend of mine, like I said, he's an engineer. He was telling me the
Mhm.
difference between a 6-figure engineer and a 7, 8-figure one. And he's both like very metaphysical, very intellectual, and extremely logical and strategic, right? This guy is an engineer, he knows his stuff. And he was asked to look at a building. And the owners found they knew something was wrong with it. I think people were getting sick or something like that, but no one could actually figure out what the heck was going on in this building.
Mhm.
And they had something like a dozen engineers come in and they left with like zero information about it. They could not figure it out. And because my friend is very multi-dimensional, he didn't just go through like logical mainstream steps that all the other engineers went through. Doesn't mean he didn't do those things, but he did more. So he like walks through this building and they actually call him, I think they called him like the building whisperer because he has this very unique intuitive sense. And he walks out of that building with 10 pages, 10 pages, where other engineers couldn't come up with any of them. And he tells me a lot of times, like he goes to sleep and he just kind of asks for this information. And he's also an inventor, so he wakes up in the middle of the night and these things just come downloading through, right? Because he's very open to that. And so I'd liken your genius and your intuition to almost being like you have a computer, we have logic. It doesn't mean that,
Well, it's really, for me, I call it your spiritual portals are open.
yeah,
You like
absolutely.
you have these
Absolutely.
gates and you have these portals, and if you are first and foremost, you can develop awareness, and then you can open them, then you can connect, with the, I would say, um the higher intelligence of the
Yeah.
universe, right, so to
Yeah,
speak.
absolutely. Absolutely. So then you're just like this pure channel where your stuff isn't kind of getting in the way. And we can get to number two because I know we're running out of time, but your stuff doesn't get in the way and you're able to have that. So
Yeah.
and then it's like nourishing that level of trust. So like what if he didn't nourish that level of trust in there?
Right.
So there's that level of attunement is really going
Well,
to
and Lauren, I was going to say, we were wanting to cover all three today, but looks like this trilogy may actually
just
get
do this
extended
one. Yep.
to 5 episodes
Yeah.
because, we're coming up on time and we still have a lot to discuss.
We
Now,
do. We do.
yeah, I guess let's just hone in on this teaching point number one. So in terms of your Black Diamond process, specifically in your time collapse blueprint, teaching point number one is the importance of finding your own inner genius, so to speak, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Nourishing your intuition, your intuitive genius, trusting it. Also knowing a lot of the times how to navigate it. And we will sometimes feel like, oh, my intuition is telling me to go here.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not your intuition. Sometimes you're really afraid to go over here and you're trying to go to the safe place. So like I'm that kind of person that's like, no, really, what is the thing? What is your true desire?
Yeah.
And really helping you boldly step towards it in
Right.
terms of, yeah, your
That
destiny and
yeah.
your
No,
quest.
that's an amazing teaching point. I fully endorse it as someone who actually, went through my own journey as well.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, we hadn't met yet, but I had the blessing and privilege to consult with the resources that I had, to figure it out on my own. And Lauren,
amazing.
to kind of give the audience a foreshadow of what's to come, obviously we're only able to cover a third of the Black Diamond process, critical teaching points, right? Next time when we get together, what is the second point that you will be addressing?
Yeah, so next time I'd love to go into really illuminating some of the very common hidden limiters, hidden blocks that are really like keeping you at a cap in your income, keeping you at a cap for success and satisfaction.
Love it. Love it. And again, Lauren, if the audience resonates with what they're hearing today and they want to get to know you a bit more, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn, Lauren Zavlunov, and at recodewithlauren.com.
Well, there you have it. Feel free to head up her website, recodewithlauren.com, or simply find her on LinkedIn. With that said, Lauren, we are running out of time today. Thank you again for being a gracious host, gracious guest. and I will see you again next time. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. This was
All
fun.
righty. Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you. I'll see ya.